Okay, so I am going to film my story, and this is going to be my story, basically an overview, because there's so many little details to everyone's story, but to mine as well, and you're not going to be able to get everything, but I want to go through the phases and how I fell for him and how it turned out. I tried to film this before, and I did it without notes and with a full face of makeup on, and my eyelashes falling off and crying. I was freshly out, and it was really raw. And this time I wrote notes to keep myself guided so it's not all over the place. So we're gonna try this. Alright, so first I'm gonna take you through what they call the idealization phase. And the idealization phase is this is the part you cling onto. Like, once this is the phase before the abuse begins. That's what you look forward to. Like, as empaths, like me included, we hold on to hope, and that is what keeps us going in these relationships. We hope for for their sake of changing. All right, so we met through a mutual friend at a concert, and we were friends instantly. I liked him instantly. He was a very likable person. Um, uh, we were friends for 2 years before I even dated him. I mean, I thought I knew him. I mean, he had this mask up for so long. I thought I knew him. Um, so we were both in a relationship. I was in like a year-long relationship, and I just wasn't feeling it with the guy. Like, it wasn't serious enough for me, and so I ended it on my part. And he told me he ended his relationship, and he was in like a 4-year relationship. And he told me he had feelings for me shortly after that. I'm not sure if he was still talking to his ex at that time or not. And honestly, he could have been, because narcissists tend to do that. They don't cut off their ex until they have a new supply. So it could have been that way. He had told me he had feelings for me shortly after, and I told him I felt the same. And we dated instantly. Um, so then we were hanging out every day. And that's how it starts. You're hanging out every day. They become the only person you're seeing. Um, and that's when the love bombing started. So we never went on dates. He never paid for anything. He never put in any effort, but he told me what I wanted to hear. And that's what love bombing is. They give you what you want. They feed on your insecurities, and they feed on your desires and your dreams. And that's what he did. I mean, it was all talk. It was all talk. But he gave me the attention that nobody else ever had. And that was something I wanted. And he knew that, and he used that. He told me we were soulmates. He told me he loved me within 2 weeks of dating. I mean, I thought that was normal because we had been friends for 2 years. He didn't know me, and I definitely did not know him. That's not normal. But he would feed on the desires I wanted. He liked the same music I liked, the same bands, the same everything. And it turns out after, towards the end, he didn't like the same bands I liked. He actually hated them. And he listened to more like emo rap, where I listened to like metalcore. So it was all a phase, and it was all mimicking what I wanted because he wanted to be that person that I wanted. Um, he would tell me that there was no other girl like me, and that was something I also wanted. He complimented me constantly. He texted me 24/7. He was obsessed with me, and I liked the attention. I was insecure, and I wanted that. I didn't realize that it was not healthy, and then he wasn't putting any effort into it at all. So I was receiving all of his attention, and so I was putting all my resources into him. So I helped him stop drinking. He was drinking NyQuil every night. I helped him stop that. He was on pills. I helped him get off those. Forgot about that until I was writing down stuff yesterday, and I was like, oh fuck, that was a whole thing too. I helped him learn how to drive because he didn't have his license. I helped him get his license. I paid for his driving school after he failed the driving test. I let him use my car for that. I helped him get his own bank account. I helped him get off probation because he had been arrested for assault, and I helped him with that. Then I decided the idea of I wanted to move out because he didn't like his mom and he wanted to move out. And so I was like, fuck it, we can move out. And we moved out within 6 months. I did all the work in that. I helped him even get a job. I helped him get a job so he could then pay for the apartment that we were going to have because this was the fantasy that I wanted. And he told me that he wanted that as well. So I fed into that. And that's what they do. They mimic everything that you want. And then towards the end, you find out that that was all a lie. Fuck, I was listening to Deftones. I was like, why did it stop? Okay. I'm not crying yet, so this is great. Okay. So then, after the apartment, he didn't really have a car. I mean, his mom bought him a car, and it was a beater car. And he was so ungrateful for that car, but she did not have to give him a damn thing. So, it was a mess. And so, like, it wasn't really safe to drive at a certain point. So after we got the apartment, we were carpooling everywhere because he didn't have a car. So I was adjusting my schedule to take him to work, and he was adjusting his schedule so he could work and use my car. Okay? So this leads to further isolation, and that is a phase that narcissists use to get you alone. They don't let you see friends. They don't let you see anybody. And they don't let you have friends outside of work. I had a friend at work that I used to hang out with. We would go to my car and we would just talk. And he hated him. It got to the point where I felt like I couldn't hang out with him at work. Like if my boyfriend or my ex-boyfriend was there at work while I was talking to him, oh my god, it would be a fight when I got home. Like, they isolate you. He would pick fights with my friends. He tried to fight my gay best friend. My gay best friend. Literally messaged him trying to fight him over some dumb shit. Because they do that. They isolate you. They damage all of the relationships that you had before them so that you only have them. So the car was only further excuse because if he couldn't go see his friends, I couldn't go see my friends. And so that was fair. You know what I mean? But it's not fair. So, I felt obligated because he put on this mask that he was so depressed and so sad, and I'm an empathetic person, so I decided I was going to fix him, right? So I was like, fuck, I felt like it was my obligation because I moved him out to my town where he didn't have any friends. He didn't have a car, and for some reason I felt like that was my fault. It was not my fault. And so I felt obligated to get him a car. So I co-signed on a car. He would not let me put my name on the title. He wouldn't. Like, it was a fight. And I didn't fight him on it because I didn't want to come home and that turned into a fight. And I'm glad I didn't because you never know what fight would have led to, like, him taking my life. You just don't know. So I don't regret that. I mean, it sucks because I'm, like, fucked now and I'm having to figure out what I can do with that. But I don't regret it. Because, like, that could have been a fight that got me hurt. So during that car part, the emotional abuse was already kind of start because he made it feel like his depression was my fault. You know, it was not my fault. You know what I mean? He would go through my phone while I was sleeping. My school laptop. He was going through my school laptop. My notebooks. I would write letters to my friend who had passed in high school, and I still do because it's like a way for me to spiritually still connect with him, and it's weird and I don't like talk about it a lot, but he would go through those and he would get jealous that I was talking to this guy that I used to work with. He died in like 2016, okay? So it's been a long time. And he would go through the letters I would write to him and rip them up. So then I felt like I couldn't even connect to my spirit world, I guess you could say, that it was connecting to because he didn't like it. So that was another thing that I was isolated from. He would degrade me all the time for things he once praised me for. So it was, oh, you're so beautiful, and then it was like, you're fucking ugly, like, you're a whore, you're a slut, like, anything that he can come up with, he was calling me that. he would make me detail my past for him, like who I slept with. I would have to tell him like dick size, like how long it lasted, like fucking details. And if I didn't, he was going to break something. He would threaten all the time. He'd be like, oh, well, if you don't tell me, I'm gonna fucking break your makeup palette, or I'm gonna fucking, you know what I mean? And it was constantly, he would hold shit over my head. And like, so I had to do it, and I'm crying in tears, and half the shit, I can't remember that shit. And I would just have to make stuff up, and then like, it was just a disaster, and that's what they do. They want full fucking control. So since that was an issue, he was very obsessive. Like with him going through my cell phone, I was like I would wake up and my phone would be on his side of the bed or on the floor. It'd be unplugged somewhere because he was going through my phone while I was asleep. So I decided that we were just gonna get off social media for a little bit to see if it would calm his fucking anxiety down, and it just made shit worse. Then that isolated me from social media, so then I had nobody to talk to that I was talking to because I had no way, you know what I mean? Like I was disconnected from the social media world, and it was just a fucking mess. Like everywhere I go, it was a mess. I was isolated from fucking everything. And so I went off social media for literally like 4 months. And during this time, I decided that maybe we needed a vacation, because maybe that was going to fix our problems, because I'm an empathetic person, and I held on to that little bit of hope from the idealization phase that shit was going to work out and he was going to go back to loving me how he loved me in the beginning, right? That's what you hold on to in these relationships. And you ask a woman why they leave, there's so many complex reasons why they don't. Okay? So for the vacation, it was perfect. I paid for all of it. It was perfect until the way home. On the way home, he was mad at me for something. It was always fucking something, and I don't remember what it was. A lot of our fights, like, I don't know what started it. I literally don't know. He was, I remember, and a lot of the times, like, my therapist told me you don't forget memories, but you tend to black them out. So, like, I'm starting to black out certain parts, but there's definitely memories, like, I'll never forget. But, like, the reasons for these arguments, I can't remember. They were all so fucking stupid. Like, it was usually over some guy on social media that I've never ever talked to in my life. And it was always somebody. So I was always having to block somebody to make him happy. Until I eventually had, like, nobody on my social media. So, anyway, I paid for all of it. I paid for the food, the gas, I drove. I mean, I did everything. It was fun. I had fun with him until the way home. He was mad at me about something. And I remember vividly he was fighting me over a phone while I was driving. And I remember fucking crying in tears. And I pulled over in a gas station and I told him to get the fuck out. And I, for a second, contemplated leaving him there. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I want to fucking leave him here and make his mom come get him because I'm so done. Like, I felt so frustrated because I just paid for that whole vacation and I put in all the effort and I was just getting shit on again. And that was the whole reason I took the vacation, was because I wanted it to go back to how it was. And it wasn't going to be that way. My mom told me not to because that would be fucked up. And I was like, fine, I guess. In retrospect, I should have left his ass there. So, after the vacation, then the physical abuse started. So, you'll see that it just progresses. With narcissistic people, it only progresses. It could take a long time to progress, or it could take weeks. You don't know. So after vacation, I fought because I wanted social media back. It was my idea to get rid of it in the beginning, but then he would not let me have it back. It was always an argument that he didn't want it back, but I wanted mine back, but he wouldn't let me have it back. So I fought to get it back, and I stood up for myself, which is something that I hadn't been doing. So he didn't like that, and they don't like that. They don't like when you stand up for yourself. So I remember vividly in August, he was mad about something. He was throwing my dog's dog cage, fucking fucked it all up. It's like dented in. He would punch doors. He would kick doors open. I mean, there was a time I was in the bathroom taking a bath and he kicked down the door just because he could. But that specific time in August, He was mad at me for something, and I think it was social media related. I don't remember. Because it was always like, they were in a bad mood and it was always your fault, right? So, he had gotten coffee, and it was sitting on the end table, and I swear to God, he picked this coffee up, threw it all over me, all over the ceiling, all over the bedding, as I was trying to sleep, okay? I was trying to sleep, because I had to work early in the morning, and so then I had to get up and fix the bed and clean up his mess, because he wouldn't do that. It was always my fault. So, and that was something he would always do, like, when I was trying to sleep, and he wanted to argue, he would turn the lights on, as I was trying to sleep. He would sit on the bed, and he would take blankets off me. I would move to the couch, he'd follow me to the couch. I mean, I had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. And he would follow. That's all he would do. That was just normal for me. I was always sleep deprived. He fucked up my sleep schedule so bad. So whenever I tried to leave, because there were several times I would try to leave, and he would take my keys, he would take my phone, any source he could take that I was going to use to get out. So if I packed a bag real quick to try to get out, he'd take my bag. Or I was never going to leave my dog with him. Never. And so anytime I would try to leave, he'd take like a dog leash. And so he knows I couldn't get out without oh my God, I'm speaking too fast. My dog. So he would take his leash. So like certain things that would keep me there. And it would get me stuck. So, after that specific fight in August, I put my foot down. I said, you're going to get help or I'm going to fucking leave because I'm not doing this. I'm not. And, I made him get the help. I told him I wanted him to get therapy. His choice of help was to get put on pills for his depression, right? So, then that became my fault for, I'm going to explain that better, but him getting on pills was my fault because I made him get the help. That wasn't my version of help. That was his version, okay? So once he got on pills, that's when the suicide threats started. Anytime we would argue, it was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking kill myself, da-da-da-da. And, he would bring knives into the room. He brought a knife into the room one time and told me he dreamed about killing me. And, like, I would get so scared at points, I would just shake because, like, I had nowhere to go. He took my keys, he took my cell phone, I had nobody to call. I used to try to, like, see if I could call 911 on my laptop, and then he'd take my laptop. So I had literally nowhere to go. And, it was never okay. So the suicide threats started. So then it became, I was scared to speak my voice because I was going to come home to him being dead. You know what I mean? And he made that very apparent. He, would cut himself in the middle of arguments. He did this to the end. He would go into the kitchen, take a knife, slit his wrist, and then be like, oh, it's your fault. It was always implied it was my fault. There was one time, I came home from work after we were getting into an argument. I can't even remember what over, because they were all so fucking stupid. I came home, and he was drenched. Like, in clothes, just drenched. And I was like, what the fuck were you doing? He was like, oh, I tried to drown myself in the bathtub, but I couldn't do it. And so then I was like, when I was at work, I was worried that I couldn't start an argument or voice how I was feeling, because when I got off work, I had a feeling I was going to come home to him being dead. I felt like I couldn't go see friends because I was going to start an argument and I was going to come home to him being dead. And then, like, there was this other time where he, this was after the serious one. I'm going to talk about the serious incident, after this one. There's one time where I heard noises in the bathroom and I was trying to sleep. So, it was always when I was trying to go to bed. And I heard noises. He was being really fucking loud. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing in the bathroom? And he was like, oh, I tried to hang myself with duct tape, but it didn't work. Like, obviously it's not gonna fucking work. Like, at that point, that's when I realized these were all manipulation tactics, and he wasn't really sick in the head. Like, so one specific time, I texted my mom, and it was over social media, and I think this was when I was trying to still get it back. And I told my mom, I was like, can you come over, because he's being weird, and, like, I feel like shit's gonna go downhill. So she showed up unexpectedly for him. He didn't know she was coming. And he went into the room by himself. And Mom and I went in there, like, about 20 minutes later, and he was acting out of it. And I was like, what the fuck? And he told me he took a handful of his pills he was on. And I was like, fucking great. So, that scared the shit out of me. My mom called an ambulance. And they took him into, like, the hospital, and he stayed there for the night. And I had to pick him up the next morning. They didn't even keep him for long. It was terrible. That was when I felt like I really could not do anything because I was so isolated. And I was scared of coming home to him being gone. And I felt like it was my fault when it was not my fault. And they do that on purpose. I didn't want to cry. But they do that on purpose. They feed on that. They know you're empathetic and they know that you care about them, and they do that. They get you to stay. When they're really just fine. So, after that, there was a fight, later on, and, where he actually, I had a candle warmer, and it's like a pineapple shape, so it has like pointed ends. And he took it one night. He was mad at me. And he threw it at my foot. And I had to go to work. Because I was working on my internship at this point. And I had to wear dress shoes every day. And so I had to go to work a week after I had just started. With a softball-sized bruise on my foot. And I was so nervous somebody was going to notice. I was so embarrassed. And he fucked up the whole internship for me. Because there was one point where we got into a fight, and I ended up leaving to go to my girlfriend's house because he bruised me up pretty well. What he would do when I would try to leave is he would grab my shirt and he would pull me like this, and so like it would bruise my chest all up. That night specifically, he scratched me, so I had a big scratch mark all over my chest. And I stayed the night at my girlfriend's once I finally was able to leave, took the dog. And was crying the whole way there, and it was a snowstorm. And she lived like clear in Columbus. And I stayed the night there, and I didn't go to work the next day. And it fucked me all up, like emotionally, and my job and everything. But he's bit me, he spit on me. In arguments, I've been sitting there wearing my clothes, and he will take the shirt and rip it off me. He's done that 2 or 3 times. Like, I had a shirt and he's completely ripped it in half. Like, there was one night that he was blocking the door and he wouldn't let me go. And I was like, fuck it, I need out. And so I screamed, let me go, at the top of my lungs for a long time. I was like, let me go, let me go, let me go. And I screamed it because I did not give a fuck who heard, but I wanted to get out, and he wouldn't let me out. And he was telling me to shut up because the neighbor's going to hear it, and I was too loud. And that was my point, is that I wanted the neighbors to hear. Because I wanted out, and he wouldn't let me out, he wouldn't let me leave. And I just wanted to stay at my mom's for the night because he was acting like that, and I was scared. And so that night, my neighbor came out, and she helped me get out, and he followed me out to my car, and she told him to get the fuck back. She said, get back and let her go. Like, don't follow her. Let her leave. And so that was the only reason I even got out that night. Or else I probably wouldn't have. She's a saint. So, like I said, if I packed a bag, there was one night he threw my purse in the air, and my wallet landed in her heater, and it melted. And I still have yet to buy a new wallet. So anytime I'm somewhere, somebody's always like, what the fuck happened to your wallet? And I'm like, oh, my ex-boyfriend, like, when I was trying to leave, threw my purse in the air, and it landed in the heater. And they look at me like I'm fucking crazy. And, like, that just was my life. You know what I mean? Shit just got progressively worse, as time went on. So this is, like, before October, right? So October is when it got really bad. So, October, he had a friend stay the night, a mutual friend, and I recently stopped talking to this friend because this friend's a fucking douchebag, and, still supports him, and you can have a different perception of an abuser, but at the end of the day, they're still an abuser, and you're just as much as a piece of shit for still staying by their side. In our society, we need to start believing women, and we need to start doing everything we can to protect them. These abusers don't deserve fucking jack shit. I'm sorry, but I get so angry. So, October, he had a friend's day that night, and they were drinking, and he told me he was mad at me for something, and I can't remember. And he told me that he fucked his ex 3 times while we were still together. And so I was like, dude, I'm done with this shit, because I had suspicions of him cheating all the time. Because Hunter would do this thing, I don't want to say his name, I just think I kind of said it, but he would do this thing where he would leave, and he wouldn't tell me where he was going. And I would message his mom all the time, like, was he there? And she'd be like, no. So then he was lying to me too. His phone would be off, like dead, and like he would just be gone. And I just had the suspicion that he was cheating on me, and I still don't know if he did. I honestly don't know. But anyway, so after he told me that he had slept with his ex while we were still together, I was like, fuck it, like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I messaged her, and she told me that no, but like 4 months ago, she said no, but 4 months ago he did message me, and he was texting her, hey, sent her like 3 text messages, sent her like a kissy face emoji, like all kinds of shit. And I was pissed. Like, I felt like that was cheating, because that same day, so that day that he messaged her was the day we saw her at a store. So we saw her at this little store, and he acted so weird in there. He was like, we gotta go. And I was like, why? Like, if you don't have feelings for her, like, why does it matter? Like, his mom was there. So I was like, spend time with your mom, like, you know what I mean? Because you don't see your mom often. Like, just say hi to your mom, and then we can go. Like, I don't understand. Her presence is not a bother. You know what I mean? Like, if I saw one of my exes, like, I wouldn't care like that. And with him now, I would, because I fucking, like, he ruined me forever. But, like, any normal, healthy relationship, I would not care. And it was like, so I had suspicions that he still had feelings for her, or something was weird. And I remember I was crying in the bathtub because I was so upset about it. And he sat there and comforted me and told me he has not talked to her, and da-da-da. And that same fucking day he messaged her. So he sat there and lied to me. And I told all my friends that I was going to leave him then. And then he talked me back into it, and I didn't. But she even told me that he's like a cheating piece of shit. And I wasn't mad at her at all. It's not her fault. And even if she didn't message him back, and even if she didn't message him back, so I didn't consider it as cheating, because there wasn't anything physical, even though that totally was cheating. You know what I mean? Like, he had intention. So I wasn't mad at her at all. And even if she did message him, I still wouldn't be mad at her, because it was him that did that. It wasn't her. So I was never mad at her. And I actually messaged her after I left, and we had a good conversation, and we were able to bond over him. So she was never her. And this is why, like, I will do what she did. You know what I mean? I'm going to promote as much as I can to explain my situation, explain my story, and say how he was, in hopes that his next victim will see that and be like, oh no, gotta go. But not all of them do that. I messaged her and tried to get information. She told me the truth, and I still ignored it. So I'm not going to go out and blatantly message his next victims, but I will wait for them to come to me, and I will always be here. And I'm dreading that day, because I know it's going to happen, and I know he's going to get worse, because he escalated with me, and I know it'll get worse. So in October, it got really bad. We were fighting way more, because then I had trust issues, right? So there's also one night in December. It was about Christmas time. I had the tree up, and he took my phone, locked himself in the bathroom. Well, he didn't lock himself in the bathroom, because we didn't have our doors were all broken, right? But he leaned against it, so I couldn't get in, and he took my cell phone. And he took my cell phone, went on my Instagram, and decided to try to follow my ex-boyfriend, so the ex before him. And that ex before him messaged me, and he was like, Kay, did you just try to follow me? And then he got mad at me, because my ex had texted me, even though it was his fucking doing on my phone. And then it became my fault, and he threw the fucking tree down, made a fucking mess. I had to rewrap presents. Like, it was a disaster, and I held on to that because Christmas was coming. You know what I mean? You always hold on to hope, and every situation got worse. There were just so many things, and towards the end, I left in February. I left beginning of February. I made a promise to myself that if he ever hit me in the face, I'd be gone. And we got Malice, our little pug, and she was supposed to be his dog. So he was supposed to be the one taking care of her, feeding her. Obviously, it didn't work because narcissists don't have empathy. They don't have a care for other human beings or people or anything, right? So he had no care for her. So I did all the work. And one night, she was 8 weeks. She woke up at like 2 a.m. She needed to go potty. She was 8 weeks, and I nudged him awake. I was like, hey, you gotta get up, like, let your dog out. She's gotta go. Like, hurry up. She's gonna have an accident. I want her to pee in the bed. And he was like, no, no, no. And I was like, come on, you gotta get up. Like, please do this for me. Like, it was 2 a.m. We lived in an apartment complex with other complexes around, so I didn't really feel safe as a woman walking out 2 a.m. by myself, letting a dog out. And plus, it was supposed to be his dog, so I didn't want to do the work for him. And I nudged him up, and he got off the bed and didn't say a word to me. He took a pillow, swung it back, and hit me in the face with it as hard as he could. And that was the moment I said, fuck this. I can't fucking do this anymore. And I left. I tried to leave. I tried to leave that night. I knew he had intention to hurt me. Through all the things that happened, I knew he had intent to hurt me, but when he hit me in the face, I said, this is escalating. It went from punching me in the legs, to pulling my shirts, to not letting me leave, to scratching me up, to biting me, he would spit on me, so from spitting on me to hitting me in the face, and I said, this is escalating. Like, if I don't leave, I'm gonna get a black eye at some point. And so, I tried to leave that night, and that was the first night I looked on the domestic violence hotline, and I told him I wanted to leave, and because he woke up and asked me what I was doing, and then he wouldn't let me leave. He went in the kitchen, grabbed a kitchen knife, and cut himself, and it was just, and that was his tactic to get me to stay for the night. The next day, when he was, he called off work the next day also. So when he was in the room, I was in the living room, I quietly grabbed my school bag because I was in fucking college this whole time, and I grabbed both dogs and I left secretly out the door without him knowing. And I never was back. I mean, I went back to get my stuff, but I never went alone. So that was why I left. So that was like my story. There's so many reasons why I didn't leave. You know what I mean?